Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now observe a 30-second moment of silence. Thank you. Moving to A3, adoption of the agenda. Are there any consent agenda items that a board member would like to have discussed as an action item? Ms. De Ocampo?
No, thank you.
Do I have a motion that the governing board adopt the meeting agenda?
I move that the governing board adopt the meeting agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. All those in favor say aye.
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 The motion passes. Moving to B, public comment. We'd like to welcome Mr. Matthew Henry with the Ramona Baker Foundation. Thank you.
But I think I got it now, huh? Making progress. Sorry, guys, if you don't mind, let me just pull up my little spiel. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Henry with the Ramona Baker Foundation. I'm here today to bring an important matter to the board and the community here today. If there's something that we've learned about from our initial appearance from the last board meeting, it's that there's a disconnect to pressing issues from the board within the district that is affecting our community. So, to provide transparency directly to the board, I want the district leader, I'm skipping some lines, it's been a long day. So to provide transparency directly to the board, we want the Ramona Baker Foundation to be transparent with our district leader. Dr. Maez is being responsive to our concerns and has started addressing a concern with removing barriers for the direct communication to our ESS department. Dr. Maez has shared that there is now an official ESS email posted on the district ESS page for families to communicate to the ESS department directly. Although there is still ways to go, this is a start and one that should be celebrated. As much as the issues within the community should be addressed, we want to celebrate and share our gratitude on behalf of the community with utmost respect. We want to express how excited we are for our future collaboration with this district to support the community and our future leaders. I also want to add that I was attending James W. Rice last night, speaking to Community District 5, which is a former district that my uncle was a council member for. And I asked because I wanted some answers on what it supports our city's giving to our school district to support the alarming chronic truancy with our students. And this is a statewide issue, I get that. But districts are not being given enough support, and the Ramona Baker Foundation will ensure that our local law enforcement and our leaders are giving our districts enough support so this district can support our students. We're not here to put pressure on you guys, we're here to put pressure on the state. We're here to partner up with you guys because we know nobody comes to this field, this industry to get rich. Everybody's here working these long hours. So with gratitude, I want to say thank you, and I'm proud to be a product of this district.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Moving to C, consent agenda. C1, approval of consent agenda items. I call for a motion that the governing board approve consent agenda items C2 through C14.
I move that we approve consent agenda items C2 through C14.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. That motion passes. Moving to D, new business. The 2023-2024 annual financial report with an override and bond update. Mr. Coffinger.
Good evening, President Conchas, governing board members, Dr. Maez, everyone's favorite time of year, AFR time. So I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm going to say AFR way more times than annual financial report. But I'm going to say annual financial report a couple times. All right. Districts are required to submit a governing board approved annual financial report package to the Arizona Department of Education by October 15th each year.
Can we take a quick pause? Governing board members, just so you know, the presentation is in your board docs. Does everyone have access to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's my?
Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. You got it for me? Okay, thank you. So the annual financial report package, commonly referred to as the AFR, but it does include multiple documents. The AFR package consists of the district's actual revenues and expenditures from fiscal year 24 or the 23-24 school year. So these are the actual numbers. We're basically putting the bookend. We're closing the book on FY24 with this. Within the AFR package, we have the annual financial report. So the whole thing's called the AFR, yet there's a piece within it called the AFR. The classroom site fund narrative, food service AFR, and the school level AFR. And it's common to see if you're fortunate enough to have a bond or override, to do these in tandem, even though it's not with the AFR, it's not a part of that package. It is a requirement districts have to report their spending and their activity within the bonds or overrides you may have by October 31st, so it's pretty common to see them at the same meeting. Just get the financial stuff out of the way. All right, so within each piece of the AFR package, I wanted to just get some eyes on each piece at some portion, even though there's many, many pages to each. Kind of picked out some significant points to see, just to familiarize you with what we're asking you to approve tonight. So page 2 within the big AFR, the main AFR, shows the activity, the revenues and expenditures within the maintenance and operations fund. That's by far our largest fund, so figured that would be a good one to show here. And so you can see at the bottom right there's a total expenditure amount of $67 million from last year within that. The salaries and benefits combined, just, fun fact, just so everyone, is something to think about. Within M&O, 86.2% of that spending goes to salaries and benefits, which best practice usually see somewhere between 80 and 90, and we're right in the middle of that. So just, when you're thinking about M&O and we think about all the things we spend and all the pieces, 86.2% of that is salaries and benefits, people. Thank you. So that's just a little piece of the main AFR. Also part of the AFR package is the classroom site fund narrative. Within classroom site fund, that is a separate bucket than M&O that allows us to compensate our teachers. One of the mechanisms within classroom site fund is performance pay, which I know you all are familiar with. And this report requires the documented plan that went into your classroom site fund plan, and as well as the actual expenditures once again. So basically your report card, how did you do with all the pieces of classroom site fund and also performance pay within that? And of the eligible people, teachers mostly, 93.3% of our teachers earn full payout of their performance pay of the $3,600. So a fun fact about classroom site fund is you're seeing each piece of this. Thank you. We're also required to report activity within food service. Food service has its own funds. And a couple pieces to note here that you can see actual meals. That left side about middle of the page, those aren't dollars. Those are meals served and snacks served, so something to notice there. You can see reimbursable meals the dollar amount of the revenues of the top left up there. But just the activity within the food service AFR is a separate document because it's not in the main AFR. And lastly, as a part of the AFR package, we have the school level AFR. Thank you. This is fairly new. This is 3 or 4 years. This has been around where we are required to show revenues and expenditures as it would pertain to each school site. This is the exact same data that's in the main AFR. Instead of it being at a district level, this is broken down by per pupil is really what most of it is, because it gets to the school site for each student. So those are just a couple pieces of the AFR to get you familiar with them. And once again, going back to the override and bond update, we are so grateful to benefit from having M&O override as well as a capital override and a bond in place right now. And we are required to show our community that we are spending in the way that those voters had approved. So this shows a breakdown of what we did in FY24 to what your overall number was. I'm trying to find it within that small screenshot there. I can see the capital override real easy. That's the $5 million we get. There we go. That first $10,232,189 was what 15% of our M&O budget worked out to be. So that's what we get, 15% of our M&O. As well as the projection for FY25 down there, pretty much the same number, $10,611,000, and our plan to spend within the voter-approved areas as well. Down at the bottom, you can see our bond budget. At the end of FY24, we had $3.4 million left on our bond, which with renovation plans at Granada West, Sevilla East, and Westwood, we hope to spend all the way down by the end of this fiscal year. So we would have zero on next year's report potentially. So that concludes my presentation of the AFR package as well as our bond and override update, and I'm happy to answer any questions for you if you have any.
Any questions? I think we talked about this a lot. I just want to clarify that our carry forward, we put that into employee benefits.
That's where yes, there's no specific spot to place that anywhere in the budget. You don't have a carry forward spot, so that's just where we've put it historically, because it's got to go in one of those boxes, and that's where it goes. But in terms of, that would be more of a budget question, I would say, because these are the actual expenditures. So everything you see here was spent, not anything that would be carried forward.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate it. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the Alhambra Elementary School District's annual financial report for fiscal year 2023-2024.
I move that the governing board approve the Alhambra School District financial report for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Moving to E. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the second reading and adoption of policy KHA, public solicitations in schools.
I move that we approve the proposed addition to policy KHA, solicitation in schools.
Mr. Oropesa, could you say second reading and adoption?
Yes, I move that we approve the second reading and adoption of policy KHA, solicitations in schools.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Moving to E2. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the second reading and adoption of policy EEAG, student transportation in private vehicles.
I recommend that I move that the governing board adopt the second reading and adoption of policy EEAG.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 The motion passes. Moving to E3. I call for a motion to approve the first reading and adoption of policy BBA, board member qualifications.
I move that the governing board review and adopt the proposed changes to policy BBBA, board member qualifications.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Moving to E4, I call for motion that the governing board approve the first reading and adoption of policy GCF, professional staff hiring and policy, and GDF, support staff hiring.
I move that we approve the first reading and adoption of policy GCF, professional staff hiring, and policy GDF, support staff hiring.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes. Moving to F, comments and communications. F1, comments from governing board members.
Just a quick comment. I just want to thank again for the district to go with me on tours. I went with Ms. Lopez last week on some school tours, saw some classrooms, and then I went to Gap earlier today and spoke with some of the 4th and 5th graders for Hispanic Heritage Month. So it was really great to just see all the friendly faces on campus, from staff to students, and I'm sure they're eager to be on break. So good luck, everybody, and take a nice break for you all.
I want to wish
Okay.
everyone. Oh, go ahead, Ms. De Ocampo.
I wanted to thank the parents at ATS for pushing forward and working with the community to help straighten out and clear up a lot of the crime along that 27th Avenue corridor. I think their input was critical in making some changes in establishments that were in that area, and it will provide a much safer environment for our students. I also wanted to comment on the contribution that the Perfect Game USA community organization donated in the way of clothing to our students. And I think it's particularly notable that it wasn't specifically uniforms, it was clothing that they could use whenever. And then, like you said, fall break is coming. You staff members have worked hard on keeping our enrollment up. You've worked hard on providing the best educational experiences for our students in this first quarter. We appreciate the extra work that you do, and I hope that you enjoy your fall break. And don't forget to celebrate our hardworking principals during Principal Appreciation Week. A month, as a matter of fact, they get a whole month. I also wanted to comment that I'd been in touch with Karen Stengel because I was concerned about our soccer games that were in the afternoons. She gave me some real specifics on how they are dealing not only with the heat during recess, but also our after-school games. And Mr. Rivera shared with me what they're doing. I had some concerns about the safety of our students at Valencia in light of some of the political activity that's been happening. And he did a nice job of assuring me and giving me some ideas of what we are doing to make that community be safe. Thank you to all who have made this be a great quarter. Enjoy your fall break.
I'll just add to Ms. Del Campo about the ATS neighborhood. Mr. Fight has been working for years. It's been 4 years ever since he got there, and the product of that work, which is something that he went above and beyond. He did not have to do a lot of what he did for the benefit of not only the school but that whole neighborhood. Has seen an immediate benefit, and much kind of respect and congratulations should go to him as well as everybody at the ATS faculty for seeing that crack down. And I'm there in that neighborhood a lot. We've seen immediate improvements. It is an absolute blessing, and I hope they can continue to build on that. But thank you to Mr. Fight for all the work he did.
First, I would like to acknowledge our ADA is in the house today. Thank you so much for your continued support. It's good to see you all here. Not sure why the lights are off over there. Also, happy National Principals Month. I also was really excited that I saw the solar project in action, and so I saw that today at Barcelona Elementary School. I also attended the emergency preparedness training with the National Association of Latino elected officials, where we talked about artificial intelligence, we talked about crisis mitigation, we talked about weather hazards, we also talked about collaboration with city, state, and local governments, and we also talked about potential, I don't like to say it, but potential school shootings and things like that that could happen in any community across the country. I also want to thank Mr. Henry and the Ramona Baker Foundation for continuing to be engaged in our district, and thank you so much for the parent engagement. I think parents are extremely important in our community, and I'm excited to continue working together. I also want to acknowledge the portraits that are across the district. Thank you to the Community Relations Department. These portraits are beautiful, and they're all of our children. And I've also seen some inside of the district office as well. So I just want to acknowledge them and thank you for all of that hard work. And also just want to thank nurses because there's never a good day to not thank a nurse, you know? And mostly because I know a parent who had to pick up their child today. And I know that there's a lot of COVID, there's a lot of fevers, there's a lot of sickness, and there's a lot of things going on. So thank you to our nursing staff. Any other comments? Moving to F2, Governing Board Direction and/or Agenda Item Requests. Ms. Del Campo.
Nothing, thank you.
Moving to F3, Comments from Superintendent and Executive Team.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This evening, we'd like to begin our updates or announcements with Ms. Billiam. Thank you.
Thank you. President Conchas, members of the board, and Dr. Mayes, I am excited to highlight our child nutrition team in my comments this evening. As we return from break, we will proudly celebrate National School Lunch Week. It's a wonderful opportunity to showcase Alhambra's commitment to providing nutritious and delicious meals for our students. National School Lunch Week's menu is made up of student favorites that they informed, and it also features a standout student-tested dish from our menu development team. It's chicken pozole verde. This recipe not only introduces diverse culinary experiences, but also emphasizes our dedication to fostering a love for healthy eating. We're also excited to include exotic fruits on our salad bar, such as star fruit and rambutan, and if you don't know what that is, Google it. It's interesting. These unique options encourage our students to explore new flavors while enhancing their nutritional intake. And then I had an anecdote that I shared with Dr. Mayes that I thought that you would appreciate. In our recent child nutrition managers meeting, they had a professional development focused on Leader in Me. Habit number 1, be proactive, you are in charge. And so Brianne Ross, our child nutrition director, shared a heartwarming story that exemplifies this habit in action. At Westwood, we have a young learner who's facing behavioral challenges regularly and has been receiving proactive support from the Westwood cafeteria team led by Hilda Huerta Galindo. Each member of her team has committed to offering her a compliment every single day. And it has created such a positive atmosphere that makes this little one feel super special and valued. And when it became evident that she also was struggling during breakfast in the classroom, Hilda invited her to share breakfast with her every morning, which strengthened their bond and helps this little one start her day on a positive note. It's also important to note that this little girl personally tested chicken pozole verde after she was assured that there was no broccoli in that green food. So this initiative is just one of many that demonstrates Alhambra's operational team's commitment to connecting our work directly to student achievement, because it's stories like these that warm our hearts but also highlight our collective dedication. So as we gear up for National School Lunch Week when we return from fall break, I invite you and everyone to join us in the cafeteria because the food will be fabulous and the company will be even better.
And Dr. Slover, Educational Services.
Good evening, President Conchas, members of the board, and Dr. Mayas. This week, our Educational Services Department provided professional development for principals during instructional leadership. The training emphasized 3 key areas.
Dr. Slover, do you mind making sure the mic is on? The green light, Mrs. Billiou, will you make sure to? Thank you.
Got it? It's a little quiet, but it's on. So we provided professional development during our instructional leadership. It focused on 3 key areas: assessment, data review, and technology integration. Our principals learned strategies for using our assessment system, reviewed district data, and explored how technology can enhance student learning. This session aimed to equip school leaders with the tools and insights needed to improve teaching and learning outcomes.
Good evening, President Conchas, governing board members, Dr. Mayas, and our Alhambra community. You may have noticed some additional college students on our campuses this semester. We want to welcome over 75 student teachers and practicum or intern teachers onto our campuses from various universities. They're teaching or observing in our classrooms and campuses this fall. Thank you to our teachers and staff who have welcomed them in and modeling and providing this wonderful opportunity for a very valuable pipeline for future educators in Alhambra. So I wanted to appreciate them and for paying it forward to our future educators and provide a warm welcome to our university students who are hopefully joining Alhambra. So thank you to them.
Thank you all. Good evening, everyone. I personally also would like to thank you, Mr. Henry, and the Ramona Baker Foundation for your support of Alhambra. I appreciate your encouraging words, and we also appreciate your passion for advocacy, and we know that here in Alhambra we prioritize partnering with our parents, and so we thank you for your support. I would also like to just share some of my own observations as I have visited schools. Today I had the pleasure of visiting ATS, and it's Spirit Week this week. And so not only were kids dressed in decade, looking like the 60s, 70s, 80s, but also our teachers really were showing some great school spirit, and so it just made my day. And as I've been visiting this week, I've been checking in and just asking how the first quarter went. Can't believe it's already the end of the first quarter. And overwhelmingly, staff have shared just very positive feedback about just the progress kids are making, how hard they see everyone working, include from our staff, all of our staff, to our leaders. And so it definitely takes a village to raise our kids. And I'm just so grateful for everyone's hard work. I also had the pleasure of meeting with Dana's support. We met with our support staff advisory, who shared a number of ways that we can continue to improve the quality of education that we're providing our students. I appreciate that all of their feedback was very child-centered and wanting to ensure that that we're meeting the needs of our children. So some of the concerns that they shared were just noticing how hungry our kids are coming to school every day and wanting to make sure that we're feeding them adequately or sufficiently, and I appreciate Ms. Ross and her team who are committed to doing that. And so I know that after they shared that, they shared some concerns, which I know Ms. Ross immediately jumped on, and to ensure that we were meeting those needs. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we were clear on is the fact that while certain things are governed because the food is provided with through the federal government with federal guidelines, we do have the salad bar that's unlimited to our kids, and so we're so grateful for that, and so we want to make sure that all our staff, our kids, everyone knows that as they're going through the salad bar that's unlimited. And so if you're really hungry, we'll want to make sure you're taking advantage of that. And so I was in our cafeterias this week, and I know today especially was orange chicken, and I saw a lot of empty plates. And so that really warmed my heart as the kids were just really enjoying that. There were apples as well, and kids were even dipping their apples in the orange chicken sauce, just making sure to scoop it all out. And so it was really neat to see. And again, thank you to for the hard work in our child nutrition department. I'd also like to just thank all of those that are out there supporting our whole child after school efforts. And today I saw a number of athletes that are very excited to win their soccer games. And so it was nice to see them proud in their uniforms. And I too had the pleasure, thank you Mr. Navarez for supporting GAP today. And I too had the pleasure of reading a book in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. And just to hear the questions that the kids were asking they're so curious and just want to be activists and really stand for things that are right and supporting one another and culture. And just, it was so wonderful and encouraging. I would like to also appreciate our principals who work so hard, and I'm so grateful for your hard work. Principals, I know that how hard you work to support all staff on your campuses, and we just really appreciate you. And again, it's been a wonderful first quarter. We have a lot of work to do ahead, but I hope that everyone will disconnect and take a break. You deserve it. And I look forward to quarter two, even more great things in store for our wonderful children. Thank you all.
Thank you. We're going to G, meeting closing. G1, the next governing board meeting will be held on October 24th, 2024. Wear your Halloween costumes. No, I'm just kidding. Going to G2, calendar of events. We have fall break. We have a Granada West Sonic Night, a Gap Day of Action, Catalina Halloween Peter Pepper Pizza fundraiser, Madrid Trunk or Treat, ATS Parent Teacher Organization Fall Family Night, and you can see all of our events on our website at alhambraesd.org. Moving to G3, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Narvaez. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.